Shinji Mikami, the man behind the Resident Evil series, decided that a corporation designing bioweapons in the form of flesh-eating zombies inside a secret laboratory beneath a mansion that's in the middle of a forest just wasn't quite weird enough, so in 2014, he and his new team of developers, Tango Gameworks, decided to get even weirder by releasing The Evil Within.
That's weird. That's weird. Kind of weirding me out.
Throughout the 15 chapters of The Evil Within, I never once felt that I was afforded the luxury of taking a moment to psychologically rest as the surreal narrative takes unfathomable twists and turns where that stupid and curious part of my brain would just continuously push me forward because I simply had to witness whatever the game was going to throw at me next. Whether it's some warped Inception-style manipulation of the environment or some unsettlingly gruesome abomination that crawls out of the floor, and just in case you didn't find the visuals of this monstrosity disturbing enough, good old Shinji Mikami gave this thing a deafening, ear-bleeding screech just to make sure you fully crapped your pants. We play as the comically bleak and boringly monotoned character Sebastian Castellanos, a detective investigating the scene of a mass murder at the Beacon Mental Hospital, which is home to some of the most unhelpful staff Sebastian has ever had the displeasure of interviewing. After some white-hooded Assassin's Creed lookalike bloke slices up the police and Sebastian too, we soon find ourselves swinging upside down at the mercy of a rather plump and demented-looking butcher. Well, this is where I draw the line, I said, so I cut myself down and proceeded to kick this butcher's arse right into next Wednesday. So I cut myself down and proceeded to shit myself and run away like a little girl. Console players might want to run away too, because sadly the game is still locked at 30 FPS 1080p. As for PC players, I highly recommend playing the Game Pass version if you're subscribed instead of the Steam version, because the Game Pass version has received some fairly substantial updates. There's an FOV slider, bug fixes, stamina adjustments, and an infinite ammo mode, and thankfully there's now an option to remove the excessively violent camera bobbing that previously made me want to chunder more than any vile monster in the game did. There's even a brand new first person mode that's been added too, which was implemented surprisingly well. But even with the first person mode though, I still preferred playing in the traditional third person mode, which isn't like me in all honesty. Horror games always feel more anxiety inducing and fear evoking in first person, but one thing Shinji Mikami has always managed to nail is creating fear from a third person perspective, even going back to the original fixed camera angle Resident Evil days. The Evil Within still manages to create fear from a close over-the-shoulder camera as well as the well-designed environment, and this is most noticeable in some of the boss battles and even more so in the more open areas that are littered with enemies. The mechanics for stealth gameplay are pretty simplistic and not that welcoming, being limited to distractions and sneaking up behind enemies, and things can easily go from bad to worse if you're spotted, and the AI seems pretty geared towards spotting you easily. The action, however, feels tense and exhilarating, especially early on where ammo is scarce, the checkpoints are spaced out, and the accuracy of all your weapons feel purposefully bad, really forcing home the survival horror element of the game, making every bullet count. There's a decent amount of weapon variety, with most firearms likely being familiar to you, and then there's the Agony crossbow, which you'll definitely not want to miss, with its varying bolt types from flash bolts, harpoons, freeze, shock, poison, fire, and explosive bolts. Occasionally we'll be accompanied by a partner too, which every now and again will offer some simplistic helping hand by acting as a distraction, but mostly they'll just come out with stupid comments.
There's no time for fooling around.
We're tasked with collecting this green goo that's a currency for Seb to spend on improving his skills when returning to the mysterious hospital, and for a survival horror, I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed this RPG style mechanic. Playing The Evil Within for a second time, I really did appreciate the level design for a game that's a fairly linear experience at first glance. I was shocked to realise how much stuff I actually missed the first time around, such as hidden areas, collectibles, and these golden keys which can be used to unlock one of the many safes back in the hospital, all tightly hidden away in this gloomy and grimy environment, often protected by rigged chests or other means of interactable traps. I'm playing at 4K on max settings and the game holds up pretty nicely still. The dreary setting, so often painted in blood, is still looking really sharp, although there's still a frustrating delay in texture streaming from scene to scene when watching the cutscenes. Other than that though, the game's running flawlessly on the Game Pass version of the game, and it's a shame the Steam version hasn't received the same treatment. The Evil Within looks pretty grim on consoles though, and not that kind of horror grim, I mean it looks like cat shit kind of grim. Regardless of the visuals and performance though, The Evil Within is an evocative and brutal experience that delves way deeper into the psychological aspects of sheer terror than I was expecting, and very few horror games since its release have managed to surpass it in that regard. The combat gameplay is pretty basic by today's standards, but the enjoyable fundamentals of a survival horror game are still well and truly on display, and the RPG green goo mechanic never gets old throughout the whole playthrough, creating some genuine dilemmas on which skills to improve on. It's a must play for survival horror fans on any platform. So have you guys played The Evil Within? If not, will you be giving it a try? Let me know what you think and I'll see you in the next one.